This is Brother Ron, and welcome to WEALLBE News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Well, y'all gotta understand too that lynching, a classic lynching is about control, it's about power, just like rape. It's about control, it's about power. I actually look at lynchings as being sex crimes. I look at lynchings as being sex crimes. I look at it as being a form of a sexual ritual for white inferiority. It's a form of sex magic. And I talked about on the show before about Aleister Crowley and sex magic. You know, you got people that worship all types of stuff, but you should look that up online. Google sex magic. But Kobe was lucky that he escaped, not only with his career and with his marriage and all, but with his balls. Because a black man's balls have never been protected in this country. When has a black man's balls ever been protected in this country? We're just talking about Terry Cruz. You know, the same week they allow Kobe to win an Oscar, because they allow him to win that. You gotta understand, it's about power. Because you gotta think about, look what happened to Nate Parker last year with the birth of a nation. The birth of the nation should have been doing Black Panther numbers to a certain degree. The birth of a nation was going to be Nate Parker's Dancing with Wolves and Braveheart, because like Kevin Costner and Mel Gibson, he directed and starred in this movie inspired by true events. So this was going to be his coming out party. Nate Parker was going to be on the A-list. He might have won the Oscar last year, even the Best Director Oscar. I mean, he would have been up there with Denzel. We had his Fences, and he would have had Nate Parker. But instead, they gave it to Casey Affleck. And the interesting thing is, Nate Parker was cleared in a court of law by white people. They did not find him guilty. They exonerated him. Although his friend, who was a screenwriter on The Birth of a Nation movie, was also involved in that situation. He was never fully exonerated through the courts, but somehow the case got thrown out or whatever, it stalled. But at the same time, they destroyed Nate Parker's career and his chance to win an Oscar. Just like they did this year with James Franco. I really do believe that James Franco would have won an Oscar for his movie, The Disaster Artist. I saw that movie, the first time I saw that movie, I said, well, James Franco going to win an Oscar. He's going to be nominated at least, but he's going to win the Oscar for Disaster Artist. The best actor and quite possibly best director. Because he also, that's going to be his star vehicle. But yeah, he was cut down at the last moment by the Time's Up, It's Me, or Me Too movement. And my thing about the Me Too movement and the Time's Up, this stuff going to backfire. Because it's a problem to me. Because there's a lot of men that have been abused by both men and women in this system, in this so-called culture of rape. Look what happened to Terry Cruz. Look what happened to Terry Cruz. Terry Cruz, name me when a black man balls ever been protected in this country, called America. Terry Cruz, the DA said that it was confirmed that the man, the super agent that worked for William Morris, Adam Bennett, violated Terry Cruz but it was like they couldn't press charges due to a technicality. He waited too long, but also it's kind of like one of them rules where you catch a ball in the NFL, but it don't say it's a catch because it's something like you jiggle the ball. You jiggling, baby. Go ahead, baby. You jiggling, baby. Like they jiggle his balls some type of way. So basically, Terry Crews, the man jiggled his balls, but Terry Crews didn't give the proper response to the man jiggling his balls. And to me, somebody jiggle your balls, it's kind of like, what the hell? You know, I don't think he was expecting that. You know what I'm saying? So what would be the proper response? They didn't say the statutes of limitations ran out. And so here's my thing about that. I posted on Facebook when I heard about it. So I want to tell you about the power of the media. Because also, y'all support the WEALLBELIVE movement. This is why it's important to have this. Because people don't understand, I built this from the organic. This is from the ground up. This has not been endorsed by corporations. I don't have any backing from George Soros. Trust me, if I had backing from George Soros, I wouldn't be in a hotel room broadcasting through a Wi-Fi situation. I would have a studio somewhere. But I want to read what I wrote on Facebook and some of the responses. And I think it's sad that a lot of times, you know, people are, sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. Because a lot of things get misconstrued on social media. And a lot of people take things out of context. This is what I said when I heard the news on Friday. I said, Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. And a woman, I would call her sister, but I can't be a sister. I'm not related to her biologically speaking. But as far as being humanity, H-U-E, humanity, I a lot of times call people brother and sister because we're part of the human family. So let me just read what I said on my social media. Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. So if you hear what I just said, I'm not comparing Terry Crews with Bill Cosby. I'm saying I'm looking at the situation of Terry Crews accusing somebody with power and privilege, how he's being treated versus how some of the accusers of Bill Cosby are being treated. Like, why is there a statute of limitations on his situation versus Bill Cosby accuser where they can bring up stuff that happened 50 years ago or plus or more? And what I'm saying is, I'm not even talking about the justification of the law. People say, well, you look at the laws, one's civil and one's criminal. This is a bullshit. There's no country for black men. I already told you it's the Dred Scott rule. You have no rights that the white man is bound to respect. You know your descendants. They told Dred Scott, you have, September 1857, you have no rights that a white man is bound to respect you or your descendants. We are the descendants of Dred Scott. If you are so-called black in America, if you had family, if you descended from people who were prisoners of war, who were called slaves by some and prisoners of war by others, then you are in that Dred Scott boat. So fuck all that law stuff. People act like the law applies to black folks correctly. We're black. Black is a color in the crayon box. But here's the thing. Take a look. It's all online. Check out the movie Ragtime. Someone dropped that for y'all. The movie Ragtime. I believe that was James Cagney's last movie he did. Or one of his last movies. It starred Howard Rollins from A Soldier Story. I love that movie. All them great actors, you know, a young Denzel, a brother from Memphis. I forgot his name. He died young. Adolph Caesar. Howard Rollins was in it. I think Robert Townsend, but Soldier Story. But look at the movie called Ragtime, starring Howard Rollins. That came out in the 80s. And it was interesting because Howard Rollins was this gifted piano player. He had this brand new Model T Ford, I believe. And these white firemen basically vandalized his car. I think they dumped like horse shit and stuff like that in his car. The brand new car. And he was trying to get his grievance addressed through the so-called system, the white man's law. Every time he went to a organizational institute, they say, well, we can't handle this for you. Go here. He'll go there. Then they refer him somewhere else. He was got me going in circles. He was going in circles trying to get his grievance addressed. The same folks who put the shit in his car are the same people that refuse to hear his grievance out and to give him justice. So his fiance, played by Debbie Allen, when she heard that the president of the United States was coming to town, she tried to meet him at the train station to let the president of the United States know how they was doing her future husband. She ended up getting her ass beat by the Secret Service, and she ended up dying not too long after that. And it broke Howard Rollins. It's kind of like that story in Missouri, outside of St. Louis, about this brother named Cookie, who shot up the city hall and killed some politicians, including the mayor at the city hall, because he felt like he was being targeted. He was a targeted individual. And they'll give him like these parking tickets that were very obscene, because he ran his own company. This happened recently in last 10 or 15 years, because time go by so fast. But look at Cookie. This brother named Cookie shot up this city hall in this town outside of St. Louis. He felt like he was being treated disrespectfully by the system, because he was a businessman, an entrepreneur. He was getting these citations, these parking citations that were adding up to the thousands, the tens of thousands of dollars. He was trying to get his grievance addressed through the courts, through the system. And even he'll try to speak out at City Hall, but they end up like banning him from City Hall. You know how you have some those forums where citizens are allowed to speak to the city council or whatever? Like, it's open to the public. Maybe you sign up on a sheet and they give you so much time to air your thoughts or points of views or grievance. I believe he was even banned from doing that. And it became a joke to the establishment. So when he got the last and final nail in that coffin, literally, he went berserk. It's kind of like you could compare it to Michael Douglas falling down. Like when Michael Douglas played the movie Falling Down, he was like a live action version of Dilbert. You know what I'm saying? But check out the movie Ragtime. See, from time to time, my shows, I try to point y'all to sources like movies and books and other people to do your research, because my job is not to do your work for you. My job is to be just a thought provocateur, to get you to think about stuff. So check it out. So, yeah. So I was saying that I was actually being supportive of Terry Crews. But this is what the feedback I got from a sister who used to be my Facebook friend. I don't believe in censorship. I'm going to talk about this before the end of the show. But this was the pushback I got from her and some other people. If I could find everything. I think some people delete their comments. It's funny how people delete their stuff. But hopefully I can find out some of the stuff she was saying in this and share it with you all. There's so much going on. Time go by so fast. I can't believe it's almost April. It's about to be spring. We just sprang forward, It's already we on the doorsteps of April. So let me find that thing. So I want to share. So and I don't debate. I don't do Facebook debates with people. I'm too goddamn busy. I'm busy. I don't see how people got the time. I still can't figure out how so many people got the time to do all this live streaming stuff. Like folks just constantly doing stuff. I mean, you constantly hearing from people. Sometimes they ain't talking about nothing. Sometimes they are talking about some great stuff. But like I said, I'm a one-man movement basically. I be out on the road, man. I'm like in hotels right now. I'm trying to find a place to put my roots down. So I've just been moving around, man. I've literally been driving around the country. And if you want me to stop by your place, do some type of lecture or some type of meeting, whatever, set it up. Drop me a line. You got my contact information in the subscription box. Also drop a donation or a donation. Do a super chat here right now, live streaming. Or you can do something in PayPal, make a one-time payment or a recurring payment. Or you can do that at patreon.com at /WeAllBe, or you can buy some We All Be gear. Artivist art that you can wear. There's art from the Artivist. So all that stuff is listed in the subscription box below. But let me find this conversation. Once again, this is what I wrote, and I'm going to read stuff and let you understand the power of being a thought provocateur. I said Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. And I was just saying that, I didn't say, keep that in mind. I did not compare Bill Cosby with Terry Crews or vice versa. I was talking about the situation that the accusers in both stories, the type of treatment they have gotten, by the system. So what they said, let me see. So I said that part. This white guy wrote. He said, this guy wrote this. His name's Shaw. He always come to be the contrarian. It's like Malcolm said, you got some people, they only respond to be contrary to you. They'll set up some people. Y'all got this thing about white allies. I don't have any white allies like that. The greatest white ally that black folks ever had in this country was John Brown. And a lot of them cats ain't like John Brown. Tim Wise is no level of a John Brown. I'm sorry, y'all. What about Tim Wise? None of these white folks is on the level of John Brown. John Brown was not only willing to give his life, but he sacrificed the life of his large family. A lot of his sons were killed in trying to liberate black people. I don't see no white folks putting their lives or their family lives or livelihoods on the line for black people in that way. So you got these folks that pop up. He try to pose as an ally, but really he's being condescending and disrespectful. Okay, he's saying, I don't talk to this guy on a regular at all. He said, you keep forgetting that Bill Cosby admitted his actions and his response to a lawsuit. You weren't framed if you admit you did it. His excuse, it would be nice to be white. No, that was his excuse. Excuse me, y'all. His excuse that the women expected to take drugs was lame and ridiculous. And there's the outlandish conspiracy theory that some nebulous day conspired to destroy Cosby because he was going to buy NBC. Assuming that Cosby even had enough money to buy NBC, which I doubt because I'm white and male and I know everything about everybody's money and financial situation, including their credit score. I said the ad-libbing, okay? He didn't say it, but he said, assuming that Cosby even had enough money to buy NBC, which I doubt, I have not seen one shred of credible evidence that Cosby had any plans to purchase NBC. Bill Cosby is a rapist. End of story. Now, this is fascinating. He said he has not seen one shred of credible evidence. Who is he? Is he Robert Mueller? Is he the prosecutor? Is he the judge? Who the hell is he? He's just a dude on Facebook commenting on a post that I made. But if he does not see it, if he does not approve, and he said Bill Cosby is a rapist, end of story, I guess his white man word is the final word. He's not even a judge. Who the hell is he? End of story. Who the fuck you talking to, player? That's that same mentality that gets folks killed. That's that same way of thinking that gets folks killed. That get people pulled out of jail cells in the middle of the night and hanged and mutilated and castrated. That same type of thinking. That's that white man thinking. That white father thinking. And this dude and I, we're around the same age, right? So here's the problem with that. One day, I'm going to try to get Ed Weinberger on the show. Ed Weinberger used to write jokes for Dick Gregory and Bill Cosby. Ed Weinberger was the guy behind The Cosby Show. Ed Weinberger was going to buy NBC with Bill Cosby. Let me get another white man who actually knows about the story to talk about the story. How about that? But I'm saying, this dude wanted to go out of his way to discredit me. What did I say? But he's telling us that Bill Cosby was a rapist. It's like some Quincy Jones. Was you there, Mr. Shaw? Was you there? Was you there doing Selma? And when Emmett Till got kidnapped, how you know everything? How you so certain, white man? See, that's the type of mentality that you deal with. That's why I don't do Facebook debates or any type of social media debates. I said that's so 2010. Then the black woman comes along. And like I said before, I love black women. My mom is black. And the people who believe in me, a lot of them are black women. But this black woman in particular, I had a chance to interact with her on the phone and whatnot. And we all going through stuff. I don't know a person's story. I don't know people's story. I don't know what people been through. We all, as black people in general, we're dealing with trauma because we in this system that does not respect our humanity. But it's sad to me a lot of times that anger, that bitterness, that trauma get misdirected. And like I said, if you listen to what I said, I didn't say anything about Terry Cruz being like Bill Cosby. I said, I look at how when he's accusing some powerful white person or powerful privileged person of a sex crime, how he's being treated. The system acknowledged that the crime was committed, but because of a technicality and because of statute of limitations and some other technicalities, we cannot proceed with a trial, with justice. So this is what this sister said. And I think she deleted some of her stuff, which is interesting, because she said a whole bunch of stuff. Even with his amendments, statute of limitations prevented criminal cases to be opened on those cases. But we like to lie so we can claim that the rules are bent to persecute black men, despite the fact that Bill Cosby had lived a free life, despite his amendments. But he's a black man, so even with his amendments, he's still framed and set up. LOL. This is why I can't deal with fake woke black folks. We'll blatantly lie knowing they are lying. What I'm lying about? What did I say about Bill Cosby? I didn't talk about his innocence or guilt in my post. What is she talking about? All the name calling, all the disrespect. I refer to this sister as Sister Patrice. I gave her respect. What is all this name calling? What's the needful name? Fake, woke black folks. This sister never met me in person before. We just had a phone conversation. She don't know nothing about me. Like that, I just thought this interesting. But, what is all that coming from? There's got to be some trauma. She erased some of her stuff. Which is interesting. Why are people trying to that's another thing about people who are trying to rewrite history. I mean, she said what she said. You can't take those words back. You need to screenshot this stuff. But another brother Avellino, he's a good brother. He's one of these woke people that she's referring to, I guess. These fake woke black folks. Now, he's a very insightful, beautiful spirit, talented musician, gifted guitarist. But he says this in response. Thus far, the civil cases of Cosby have been dropped and or shown him not guilty, with several accusers admitting to have lied. That Cosby was intimate with several women, even he has yet to deny. But rape, it is very difficult to comprehend the possibility of a black man raping a white woman and getting away with it, given the social climate at the time Cosby was alleged to have done so. Raping multiple white women? Not in America. His career started at a time when to merely look unapprovingly at a white woman could cost you your life. The pages of history are filled with the lynchings of innocent black men based on the false accusations of white women. Remember, Cosby didn't always have the clout in Hollywood that many have come to know him for. Post-Huxtable, he, like other black entertainers in Vegas, were prohibited from staying in the very hotel they perform in. They had to stay in the colored section. The racial climate was such that no white woman would ever be intimidated by star power of a black man to the point that she would hesitate to accuse a black man of a charge as serious as rape. Let me tell you something. Sammy Davis Jr. was around at the time Cosby, this would be the 50s and the 60s. Do y'all understand how they treated Sammy Davis Jr.? He was about to get it on with Kim Novak. She was one of the hottest Hollywood sex symbols at that time. Kim Novak was one of the hottest white women on the planet. And you had the head of a studio. They wanted the mob to hit Sammy Davis Jr. They wanted this prominent head of a studio, wanted Sammy Davis Jr. dead because he was courting Kim Novak. You look all this stuff up. A very well-known studio head. He was no guy off the street. This guy was highly respected, very powerful man in Hollywood, in the entertainment industry. He had a contract on the life of Sammy Davis Jr. because he was messing around with Kim Novak. I have heard stories from old timers. They talk about how Sammy Davis Jr. didn't lose his eye in a car accident. His eye was knocked out by some goons. And that's another story. And they trying to say it was in the connection with another famous Hollywood white woman. And, like a friend of mine said, nobody dies a natural death in showbiz. Showbiz is strange. So this is around the same time that Cosby is accused of raping white women. In this same era, was like a few years before the killing of Emmett Till in Money, Mississippi. Now, I'm not trying to give Cosby an out, but my thing had nothing to do with Cosby. I was not commenting on his case. I was talking about the statute of limitations of hypocrisy. I was also talking about the fact that the system acknowledged that Terry Cruz was violated by this white man with power and privilege, but yet they said because of a technicality, the way he touched the balls, like how the NFL said, yes, it's a catch, but it's not really a catch. Yes, it's sexual assault, but it's not really sexual assault. This is the bullshit they're passing, right? So that my brother AJ, thanks for looking out. But she said some other stuff. Let me read this again. Okay, yeah. She said, no, this is Sister Patrice. No, you are spreading false information. Civil suits do not have the same statuses as criminal suits. So yes, the women would have sued criminally were recent cases. Please be responsible in what you spread. Yeah, right. Sister, are you even listening? I know y'all enjoying this, and I know y'all can hear this. Let me know if you can hear it. I have not looked in the chat room. I hope somebody donated something. What I say? My response to her, Sister Patrice, no country for black men. Loopholes and double standards still apply. It is what it is. Somewhere, as Baba would say, somewhere. And then she said, just alone. She wouldn't have that many followers on social media, but they have the longest responses. Sometimes people try to get fame off your name. They try to come up on you. It's like if you're a whale and they are barnacles. You know what barnacles are? Those are things that be riding the whales. They be attached to the whales. Like I'm a whale and she a barnacle trying to come up on me. Moby Dick. She said, there are no loopholes. There are statutes that prevented criminal prosecution for those cases. You can speak in riddles, but your post is not the truth. Who said my post supposed to be the truth on the cases? I don't understand that. The 50 plus women that spoke out were not at all able to open criminal cases. Some of them actually did before the statutes were up. The criminal case that was actually open, it was a recent crime where the statutes were not up. Obviously, you're not telling the truth here. What the hell? I'm not even talking about the case. I'm just making a statement. Where is she pulling this stuff from, right? This is why I don't do the debates on Facebook. But people are so asocial now. They're so antisocial and asocial that the art of the small talk is obsolete. People don't even know how to small talk no more, let alone flirt. People are not comfortable in their own skin. So Sis Sister is talking about stuff. She having a flashback. Because I didn't talk anything about Cosby case. I didn't talk about that. I was just making a statement and it provoked thought. Okay, I'm guilty of being a thought provocateur. How about that? I provoke some thought and people take it where they want to take it down a rabbit hole. And she said, don't call me sis. Also, you certainly are not my brother. Yeah, she's attractive. And if there'll be incest. So I agree with her, but I was calling it out of respect and solidarity with humanity. That's why I call people brother and sister. You might not be my biological, but you're still part of the human family. So, this is what she said again. 60% of black girls are sexually assaulted before the age of 18. Note that all the people that put out these statistics and whatnot, and the white father figure who was so authoritative said, end of story. He did not cite anything. He did not provide links. He just talking out his ass like she talking out her ass. I call them the wind talkers. The movie Wind Talkers, never mind. It's not the same thing. But I call them the wind talkers. They talk out their ass. But anyway, she gonna put out this stat. I'm gonna be impressed with that because she put it as numerics. So no links to anything. No links to any type of documents. But here you go. 60% of black girls are sexually assaulted before the age of 18. But you are spreading lies about Bill Cosby's ass. Terry Crews is an innocent man. What did I say about Bill? I didn't talk about Bill Cosby ass. I didn't talk about his penis. I didn't talk about his pudding pops. I didn't talk about anything about Bill Cosby like that. I just made some type of catchy, short, to the point commentary quote. Good for people's short attention span. And she writing novels and dissertations off of what I didn't say. So people hear what they want to hear. People see what they want to see. And you can't worry about that. But I just want y'all to understand the power of media. The programming that people are on. Especially, black men and black women. We got to understand that we missing something that 50 years ago, those brothers and sisters understood. When we work together and stand together in solidarity, nobody can defeat us. But I got a black woman that's attacking me for some imaginary thing I didn't say. I don't understand, but let me read what she says. 60% of black girls are sexually assaulted before the age of 18, but you are spreading lies. She got the capitalized, all caps, lies, God damn it, lies about Bill Cosby's ass. Terry Crews is an innocent man that was sexually assaulted, and you have done him a disservice to compare him to an admitted rapist. I'm not even comparing. I did not compare Terry Crews to Bill Cosby. And I'm not going to call Bill Cosby a rapist because the media say he's a rapist. The media rapes your mind every day. Advertisers rape our minds. Everybody's mind fucking us every day. And you talking about some rapists? Get out of here. Come on. I had no thoughts about Bill Cosby, what he did or didn't do, or they claim he did. Let me see. Terry Crews is an innocent man that was sexually assaulted, and you have done him a disservice to compare him to an admitted rapist. Black men don't progress because you have no concern for the consequences of your words and your lies that she capitalized, that you tell. In the words to quote Shaq, what people do for money. How powerful would it be if you actually advocated for Terry Crews? She capitalized Terry Crews, a victim here. Capitalized a victim here. If you wanted to relate this to history and how black men are victimized sexually, you could have spoken about how many black men are sexually assaulted but don't speak out. You could have discussed the history of white folks assaulting black men, but you can't go too deeply in discussing that because you wouldn't want to make the foolish black men that worship their asses actually look like fools. They have all this venom, this bitterness, this venom and trauma. That's what I'm saying. You are doing Terry Crews a disservice, and he would not be happy with this. Okay, I don't know him. I don't care if he is happy or not. There's so many valid points you could have made in advocacy for black male sexual assault victims, but you chose to lie. She got lies in all caps. So you can place Terry Crews next to a perpetrator. Shake my head. Let me go back. I know I'm reading now. She writing like novels, novellas and shit. But let me go back to what I said. I said Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers. I'm comparing Terry Crews with Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. But I'm talking about, you got all this time for them to bring up all this stuff. Where does it stop? I did not say Terry Crews was like Bill Cosby. The guy who touched Terry Crews could be compared to Bill Cosby. Based on what they're saying Bill Cosby did. Okay? But I didn't compare Terry Crews to that. Think about, people don't understand. People online and social media, they hide behind avatars, fake names. I get attacked by people all the time. I got my life out here. My name, my face. I'm not hiding behind them disembodied voice. Listen, I'm an authority figure. I'm not doing that. What you see is what you get. People approach me in the streets. People know who I am. They recognize my voice. They recognize me. That's how you build real trust with the people. When people are saying he putting himself out there, I'm already past 30. They start ageism. They start discriminating against you. You old after 30. Because the way the economy is, they're making jobs that a lot of us took for granted obsolete. See, the baby boomers had it good. I talked to my aunt about this. And my aunt talking about some of the men that she had that proposed marriage to her. These men were about taking care of family. They were provider guys. Like them guys that people always talking about. He provided for the family. He was the guys that had the jobs that paid with the insurance and the benefits. But them days are long gone. You ain't gonna find a lot of men that can be able to support a whole family by himself. Not a lot of black men. If you look at the situation, if you look at how black males on the whole are disrespected by this system, there is no respect. Black men are some of the most admired and most hated and disrespected people in America. I know it's hard for people to believe that. We are the most taken advantage of people in America. I'm speaking from my point of view as a black man. I'm advocating for brothers. Like she said, I'm not doing that, Frank. I live my life every day as a black man. I can speak on the traumas that I go through, the shit I remember from my childhood all the way up to this present day, and how I feel like I'm being treated in this country. You got somebody like Dr. Bois, whose birthday was February 23rd, which this year marked the 150th anniversary of his debut into this matrix. Dr. Bois was one of the greatest intellectuals. People always talk about Einstein. Dr. Bois was homegrown, phenomenal, all-world genius. He invented American sociology. He didn't invent no black sociology. He didn't invent no subgenre. He invented the whole fucking academic category of sociology. He did that with grassroots activism. Genius. But like he said, when he was celebrating his, I believe one of his 90th birthdays, he was like in his early 90s, he celebrated his birthday in China. He said on their radio that I did all this stuff from my country, and all my country know me as or treat me as just another nigga. Here's a man who lived almost a century, who was the first black man to get a PhD from Harvard University, one of the founders of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, the editor of their very influential magazine, the Crisis magazine, phenomenal intellectual in the classroom and also on the front lines. One of the key advisors, a true Pan-Africanist, one of the key advisors to people like Kwame Nkrumah and other leaders of the newly independent African countries and states. See, people talking about, well, he betrayed Marcus Garvey. You know, you gotta understand. You hold it against him. But you gotta understand how they manipulate a lot of us to this day. Our leadership has always been compromised. Our so-called leadership always had those type of beefs. But to discredit a man's entire life work based on some disagreement and some damage he done to undermine Marcus Garvey, because they could not get Marcus Garvey without our consent. See, white folks could not get Marcus Garvey without us conspiring with them to get Marcus Garvey. Because you gotta understand, let me tell you something. The first person to offer Marcus Garvey a speaking engagement in the States was A.L.L. Randolph. Marcus Garvey's pen pal and mentor was Booker T. Washington. Marcus Garvey wrote Booker T. Washington on a consistent basis to inquire how could he start a Tuskegee-like operation in Jamaica. One of the reasons why Marcus Garvey came to America was to meet and hopefully work with Booker T. Washington. Marcus Garvey at one point was open to working with W.E.B. Du Bois, but they had a misunderstanding of falling out. But the thing about Marcus Garvey was he was very charismatic, probably the greatest mass leader we ever had in this country. And Du Bois, although he was very intellectually gifted and he had talents, he was not a leader like Marcus Garvey was. He was not a charismatic figure in that arena. He was not no mass leader like Marcus Garvey. He was a innovator in thought, and he also led in activism. But you had the Clash of the Titans, and towards the end, Dr. Bois recognized the errors of his ways when it pertained to Marcus Garvey. Just like how Woodrow Wilson used the black leadership to get into office. You had black leaders proclaiming that Woodrow Wilson, this racist white man from Virginia, whose classmate in college was Thomas Dixon, the man who wrote The Klansman, which was the source for the influential and controversial movie The Birth of a Nation. They had black voters believing that he was the next coming to Lincoln. And Du Bois, W.E.B, Wells, a lot of them were part of it. And once he got into office and resegregated the federal government, they felt betrayed. Matter of fact, you had William Monroe Trotter, the first black Phi Beta Kappa at Harvard University, also ran the paper The Guardian up in Boston, helped protest against the Birth of a Nation movement. He confronted Woodrow Wilson in the White House. he said some cold crap. He ran it down on Woodrow. And Woodrow was not having it. He banned him from the White House. This is before Kanye West said George Bush doesn't care about black people. Wilbur Rowe Trotter told Woodrow Wilson that to his face, eyeball to eyeball, in his home court, that, hey, you don't care about black people. How many of us know about William Monroe Trotter? You know what I'm saying? We don't recognize the righteous ancestors like we should. So what I'm saying is, people got this thing about what Du Bois did. This, look, you had a lot of black people working against Garvey, compromised by the system. You got to think about some of the first FBI agents of color were hired to neutralize Marcus Garvey. You had a minister in Marcus Garvey organization named Reverend James Eason. Kind of like, you know, if Garvey was Elijah Muhammad, then Eason would have been like Malcolm X to a certain degree. But he was working with the government to take down Marcus Garvey himself, and he was assassinated at a place known as the Black House in New Orleans. I ain't telling that Marcus Garvey had anything to do with it, but you know what I'm saying? He was assassinated to stop him from undermining Marcus Garvey. Some people thought, hey, we got to take care of this guy. That guy's name is Reverend James Eason. Look him up if you can find any information on him. See, history is more complex than what we understand. It's like with the Talented Tenth. The Talented Tenth was not a bad idea. People talk about, well, no, Du Bois. His name really is Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois. But because we American, we call it Du Bois or Du Bois or Debo, W.E.B. Debo. You know, but what I'm saying is the Talented Tenth was not a bad idea. What happened was because of integration, the head became disconnected from the body. See, our leadership people got bust out of our neighborhoods, out of our communities. So that the people that would have been the leaders, they become alienated from the community. So once they're used up by the white inferiority system, they're spit out, their bones are spit out back into the community, but they're useless. They're useless because you've been so alienated from your people, because it's crazy. Some of our strongest institutions in the black community was the black church and the black schools. Once they compromised the black schools, some of the best schools in the country, believe it or not, some of the best schools in the country were black schools during Jim Crow. I can look at in Memphis, where I'm from, a place called Manassas High School. Talking to some of the elders there, you know, who graduated back in the 20s and 30s. You know, at one point in their school, they were sending folks to some of the top educational institutions, black or white, in the country. But now, this same system that had those glory days, these same schools, they had their glory days, they graduating people that can't read. You got folks getting diplomas in high school that can't read or write. You know, that should be a shock to people. Look at Huey Newton. Huey Newton couldn't read or write. He got a degree. He got a high school diploma. He ended up getting his PhD. That's how brilliant we are. You got somebody like Freeway Ricky Ross, who ran, you know, crack cocaine on the West Coast and the Midwest. He couldn't even read. He didn't learn how to read till he was 28 years old. He taught himself how to read at 28 years old. But he was a gifted tennis prodigy, but he didn't know how to read. So it's not impossible for folks to get ahead in life not knowing how to read, but you undercut your potential, though. You know, there's a lot of brilliant, you know, I meet people that talk about, my daddy, elders talk about their fathers who could build homes and know how to read a ruler. They could actually build homes perfectly. So we are the same folks that built the pyramids. Of course we could build homes. Of course we could play instruments by knowing how to read music. But reading does help to access things that might be limited if you didn't know how to read. So with Du Bois, the Talented Tenth, because really it's always a small group of people that do the work for the rest of the people. Most people are sheeple. Most people do not know what they want out of life. But then a person come along with a vision and a direction and a purpose and a plan of action, people criticize those type of people. You start calling them people dictators because they know what they want out of life, and by any means necessary, they will utilize to get what they want out of life. And some of the things that will benefit you, you don't want. The things you need, you don't want a lot of times. The things you want, you don't need. That's how capitalism works. Capitalism thrives off of giving us things we don't need, but we want. They program us to want things we don't need. But I would say give Du Bois another look. Read some of his works. Read the Philadelphia Negro. Read the Souls of Black Folks. Read some of his later stuff. He talks about really a economic alternative to capitalism. Because the majority of the world is suffering from capitalism. It's not benefiting the majority of the world. If you only got 100 families running everything, they control all the resources. They control more resources than the bottom half of humanity. Something's wrong. And we think it's okay. This will happen. We keep on selling for the so-called lesser evils. Them lesser evils add up like pennies and become the greatest evil you ever known. We are our own worst enemies. So, let me come back. But look up Du Bois. Do some research. Don't let people tell you who Du Bois or Du Bois was. Or Debo to some of y'all. Some of y'all, he Du Bois. Some of y'all, he Du Bois. Some of y'all, he Debo. Terry Cruz gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. So let me finish what the sister said. She said all this stuff, and I said this is kind of crazy because why am I defending Bill Cosby in this, and how am I defaming Terry Cruz? Where did I compare the two? It don't make any sense. So I'm gonna read what she said again. 60%. Now, mind you, she's not offering any data. She's not providing links to information from respected sources or trusted sources. She's just going and trying to, because she put up numbers, trying to sound more sophisticated than what it really is. She's just stating based on her point of view, her opinion. 60% of black girls are sexually assaulted before the age of 18, but you are spreading lies. So I'm going to emphasize lies because she capitalized it about Bill Cosby's ass. Terry Cruz is an innocent man that was sexually assaulted, and you have done him a disservice to compare him to an admitted, and she got that kind, an admitted, I'm about to do CD.8, admitted rapist. Black men don't progress because you have no concern for the consequences of your words and your lies that capitalize, you tell. How powerful would it be if you would have actually advocated for Terry Cruz, a victim here? See, every time I elevate my voice, I'm showing how she capped, all caps. If you want to relate this to history and how black men are victimized sexually, you could have spoken about how many black men are sexually assaulted but don't speak out. You could have discussed the history of white folks assaulting black men, but you can't go too deeply in discussing that because you wouldn't want to make the foolish black man that worship their asses actually look like fools. You are doing Terry Crews a disservice, and he would not be happy with this. There are so many valid points you could have made in advocacy for black male sexual assault victims, but you chose to lie. So you can place Terry Crews next to a perpetrator. Shake my head. I didn't lie. What did I lie about? Wow, man. I don't know. It's interesting. This is my response. Like I said, I don't really delve into it's just too much. It's toxicity. Like Neely Fuller said, it's not good to hang around a bunch of black folks without a plan or plan of action. That's why I read Paola Patrice and Brother John Shaw. This is what I'm saying, y'all. It is quite evident what I said went over y'all's heads. I don't do Facebook debates. That's so 2010. I won't resort to name calling filled with venom, bitterness, and hate, posing as facts and common sense either. I am a thought provocateur. I am just here to make you think. Got too much real world work to do. I ain't mad at ya. Have a good day. LOL. I did that in the caps though. And then she did her cap. LOL. Black men quickly resort to white supremacist quips against black women when they are being called out for lies and untruths while simultaneously trying to cry about white supremacy. Reason no one takes y'all seriously. What? How did I tell black women? What did I say about her? Did I say anything? Let me read what I said again. It is quite evident what I said went over y'all's heads. I don't do Facebook debates. That's so 2010. I won't resort to name calling filled with venom, bitterness, and hate, posing as facts and common sense either. I am a thought provocateur. I am just here to make you think. Got too much real world work to do. I ain't mad at you. Have a good day. LOL. Okay, I didn't. She calling me all types of names like fake woke black folks. She called me all types of names, and just being disrespectful to black men. But like I said, I don't know her backstory. I talked to her before. We was on the phone for 2+ hours. I called, talked to her, and she told me some things, and that's not important. But what's important is how is she able to pull this out her ass? What I'm saying, like, this is why these the wind talkers. I'm gonna call these people. I got a new name for the people that pull stuff out their ass, talk about stuff that don't make sense. Wind talkers. They're the wind talkers. I know people, well, that's disrespectful to Native Americans. I ain't talking about the Native Americans. I think the Redskins, Washington Redskins, are more disrespectful than Native Americans. I'm talking these folks just talking, they clapping their ass, and there's shit coming out of it, and wind. Then some dude, I don't know. Maybe he saw a Facebook profile, he got horny, I don't know. He said, Paulo Patrice is 1,000% correct. She's 1,000% correct about being wrong. She's 1,000% about, I don't see how that, And my mom, a black woman that I love with common sense, mama, come through. This is what my mom said. She read all this shit. What the statement is saying, why does one person get up to 30 years for a criminal act and another person told his limitation is 1 year? Shouldn't Terry be afforded the same limitation and due process under law and court system? The statement is not the author's opinion, but rather to start an open discussion. Because I am the thought provocateur. That's all I want. I ain't just, but people call you names, and white folks want to play their white Jesus, white father role. They take it very seriously. But it is what it is. That's the things that, the other day in the life of the artist. That's how we do it. It's another day in the life. That's what everybody's saying. So one day, I think people will start looking at my live streams and taking me serious about what I do. But yeah, that was fascinating.